Nothing's happening. It's not streaming on YouTube. What's up everyone, and welcome to the first ever episode of HANGTIME Live. I'm Max, over there we've got Nev Bradshaw, and we are the hosts of HANGTIME Live. This is the first ever time we're doing this, so bear with us, we're a little bit late going, but we're on the road now. So, what is HANGTIME Live? It's our live show here on 999 Laser. We're trying to bring you something new, something cool, something different. So we've got 4 segments here today. We're going to go for a bench race review, a Moto Fights. What's next? Trophy talk, and then to round us up we're going to do a ragged and rated, and I'll explain what all those segments are in a bit. But first of all, let's introduce Nev Bradshaw. If you don't know Nev, he's former professional motocross rider from South Africa. More recently he's been the star of, I don't know how many videos we've done now, Nev, but he's been the star of a load of videos on our YouTube channel here at 999 Laser. If you don't know me, I'm Max, this is my channel. I've been making motocross videos for 10 plus years now, so a long time. Nev, what do you have to say to people? First time we're ever going live on YouTube.
Yeah, pretty stoked to be here, and hopefully you guys are watching can enjoy it. Just having a chat about motocross, just shooting the breeze and talking about relevant stuff, and hopefully you guys can get involved and send your questions through and stuff and have a good evening hopefully. Yeah,
as Nev says, we're live, so send us your questions. This is interactive. We're in the chat. I can see people already, Nev, are in the chat sending their regards from the USA. We've got Ronnie Bailey there, Bobby Evans, Ethan. We've got a load of people already in the chat. So
awesome.
Send us your questions, guys. We'll be answering them towards the end of the show. We'll take a look at those. So make sure you send your questions, and also we'll be picking the best question or the best comment from the chat. Once the show's over, once we're off there, we'll pick the best comment, and that person will win a prize. We'll send you some merch. So make sure you send in some fire questions in the chat. So Nev, let's jump into segment number 1 then, which is bench race reviews. And if Phil in the booth is on fire, on point, he should be heading over to a nice little graphic. Here we are then, back for bench race reviews. And bench race reviews, what's that? Well, this is the segment where we get to talk crap about motocross, about the racing. And we've all been waiting a while now. 2 months is it since the last racing, so with all the COVID-19 stuff, racing has stopped, which is one of the reasons why we're in here. We've been desperate to make some content for you guys, so we've invested some time, some money into this new setup to bring a live show, and now we can properly talk about bench racing. So let's talk about Salt Lake City. You watched it earlier, I was with you when we watched the main event of the 450 race. First of all, it's just good to get back racing, right?
Yeah, no, it's awesome to see the guys back racing, like just racing of any kind, like all motorsports, sports all together have stopped, so just to see some racing was really cool. And it looked awesome, like a few of the top boys looked like they didn't miss a beat. There's a couple of people that look like they struggled from not riding for so long, whether they've taken time off or started preparing for outdoors or whatever. But yeah, as you say, just to see a bit of racing and kind of bring a bit of normality back into life again was pretty cool to see.
Like you said, I think we realised how much we took sport for granted, didn't we? In the time where it was off. Even and my friends was watching anything that came online, like horse racing from Saudi Arabia or whatever they could find.
Yeah.
So when now there's actually high level motorsport back in action, it's so good to see. Now, what are your thoughts on the riding without fans thing? Do you think that will affect the riders? Do you think, is that a mental side of it where it might not quite feel like a main event when it is a main event? Do you know what I mean? When it's like, the atmosphere isn't the same as what you've been used to these past 10 years.
I think it changes up a bit. Just I guess it changes the vibe of the race. Especially with Supercross, with the fans being so close and stuff, it creates such a good vibe and gets the adrenaline going a lot more. I guess for some people, those top boys that are going for a championship or there to do a job, I don't think it matters if there's one person in the stands or a million people in the stands. Those boys, they've got their goals and you know, you could see on the weekend how hard they're going for. And then for other guys, I guess, kind of like it takes a bit of pressure off, you know, like you're not so much in the spotlight.
If you crash, you're not crashing in front of 60,000
Yeah,
people.
exactly. And I guess with the fans, it's like you got a lot more energy to put into your racing. You know, like I guess for those guys, autographs, signings, dealing with the public.
Chad Reed or Dean Wilson have got a lot more time to kind of get in the zone and not stand for an autograph line that's 3 hours long.
Yeah, exactly. So I think from that side, the guys have got like a lot more time to concentrate on what they're there to do. They're probably, you know, like they'll enjoy the ride a bit more. I guess for some people, it work as an advantage. Some people that overthink stuff, it might not be as good, but all in all, you know, it is what it is, and they're all professionals and they're going to get on with what they need to do.
And like you say, on the weekend, you can definitely tell the guys that are just business as usual. You got your Tomacs, you got your Webb and the Roxon, those three cream risers to the top.
Yeah.
Those three guys, especially Tomac, just look like nothing's changed. It's a normal Saturday night, even though it's Sunday afternoon.
Like I think there was 5 guys, you know, like watching that race, I think there was 5 guys, the top 5 guys, so Anderson, Osborne, Tomac, Webb and Roxon looked like they didn't miss a beat, you know, like at one stage, I thought when Tomac started going backwards, I thought, you know, maybe we saw the Tomac of old, but, you know, he turned it around and was strong all the way to the end. Webb looked really good, was aggressive, looks really good in the bike. And then I think with Roxon, same as before, before the break we had, I think if Roxon can get out front and get 5 seconds or 6 seconds, that's when he's at his best, you know, like when he can ride in his comfort zone, you know, he can click those laps off and it's hard to beat him, you know, but I think when he's in a battle with, especially with Tomac and Webb, like those guys are super aggressive, and I think when he gets rattled, it makes it a little bit harder for him, you know, so I think for him, like, he needs to try to get his starts and get gone, you know, and then tighten the back up.
He needs to do a Blake Baggett.
Yeah, pretty much. What's it, 8 points now?
Yeah, it's not a lot, but...
Yeah, like, he needs to go the other way this weekend, you know, like if he wants any shot at, he needs to try get his start and get gone like he was doing early in the season. But yeah, those top 5 guys straight back into it, didn't miss a beat, and the intensity was quite high, you know, like they lapped up pretty far, and you can see the guys are riding hard. Hopefully this on Wednesday, hopefully the track's a bit more technical. I can understand why they made the track quite simple for the first race back, you know, like a lot of people haven't been doing supercross and time off and not as sharp.
It's like a safety
exactly
reason,
which is
like, it's like how they make A1s usually a bit tamer than rounds 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, isn't it? I know we're happy to get racing back going, and we're happy to see Supercross back, but Supercross is definitely much better as an evening sport. Like watching Supercross in a day is weird. It's not the same
weird,
vibe.
yeah.
But then saying that again, like you said earlier, the track looks so dry. Like you said, it was like practice track at 4 p.m. kind of thing, which essentially it is. They've been riding it all day.
Yeah.
How do you think like that dirt's going to get pretty beat up in the next 3 weeks?
Yeah, I think that condition that you had there is what the conditions that they're going to have through the whole series. So some people it's going to favour and some people it's not, you know. I guess the people that make the tracks will have learned a lot from that race. So maybe they're going to mix it in a bit better or change the track layout out a bit to like favour, you know, it's kind of that like pebbly kind of ground, you know. So I guess if they build berms and stuff up and they're not turning on flat, it'll make it a lot easier for the riders to turn and stuff. But I think that's what they're going to work with. So yeah, it's just about the people that are going to make the best of it. I think it's pretty cool, you know, like I think it's awesome that they've gone to the effort that they have to bring the sport back. Hopefully a lot of sports follow it, and you know, they're doing everything right, you know, with all the COVID stuff, you know, like everyone's wearing masks and the social distancing thing, and it's a very good advert for people that are other sports that are looking to start again now.
Like a model that they could take and implement. Hopefully we can do that something like that here for the British Championship, maybe the World Championship at some point this year.
Yeah.
Let's put some money on the table then. Let's make some predictions. Obviously we've got, is it 6 rounds left after Sunday?
Yeah, 6.
6 rounds left. So who's going to win the title? After seeing what you've seen on Sunday, who's going to win the title?
In the 450 class, in the
450 class, yeah.
I think it's going to be hard to go against Tomac the way he's riding, you know. Like I think if that first race went the other way and Roxon won it, I'd say Roxon, because Roxon's the guy that rides, and when he's got confidence, you know, he's almost unbeatable. But just Tomac looks so strong. He came through everyone, you know, came through all the good guys and got to the front and just handled it from the front. So I think he's learned a lot from the mistakes he's made in the previous years where he's just lost out the championship. So I'm going to put my money down on Tomac this year.
All right. So that's a strong pick. like we was talking about earlier off air, Tomac seems to be the man. Like, without doubt, he's the fastest guy there. There's not any other riders that can drop places, then pull it back and get a 10-second lead by the end.
Yeah, I think Tomac and Webb are a lot like that. They're very like hungry.
They've got another level.
They've got that hunger and that desperation to kind of like, they want to win. You know, like it's obvious that they want to win. And sometimes I think with Tomac that was his downfall as well. He wanted to do well so much that it actually ended up, you know, just choking a little bit. You know, like if you want to use that word. But I think he's learned, he's matured. You know, like he's gone through the heartache and the pain, and he's learned from those experiences that he's had, and I think he's got all the pieces in the puzzle right now. He's got his bike going good, he's been on that team for a while. He's obviously got good people around him, he's just had a kid, so he's in a good place. His home life is pretty good, obviously. Yeah, I think he's a hard man to bet against at the minute.
So you said that, I'm going to play devil's advocate then. I'm going to say that Tomac might do a Tomac and screw something up along the line, so I'm going to put my money on Roxon. I think Roxon, look, on the weekend you saw on that last lap, that save, he might have someone looking over him at the moment. So
fair play to that.
I think, like you say, Roxon can get on a roll, he's hard to beat, and he's always seemed to have the kind of the magic touch, the Midas touch when it comes to championships. So I'm going to put money on Roxon. Now, what are you going to do if I win the bet? You can buy Domino's next time.
I'll take your 125, your YZ 125 out for a day.
No!
How's that for a bet?
My 125 is like brand new. And I've seen what Nev can do with 125.
It won't be after a day, dude.
Alright, deal. If Tomac wins, you take the 125.
Yeah.
And if Roxon wins,
you're going to have to ride my 500.
So that's a lose-lose for me. I don't know if any of you have ever ridden a 500, but it's not like riding a motocross bike. It's like trying to tame a wild horse. It's not quite the same.
You just got to tickle it.
What was your brother-in-law saying the other week? Exactly the same thing as I said.
He said it was going through his legs. I've never had it go through my legs.
It's a different kettle of fish, right? Those things, I tell you. Right, so that's bench race reviews. Segment number 1 of the show. We're going to cut now. Oh crap! We're going to cut now to segment number 2, which is Moto Fights. And we're back, are we? Yes, we are. So, Moto Fights. This segment is our debate segment. If you saw any of our podcasts last year, that's kind of how we framed our podcasts. We pick a topic and we debate about it. Now, as this is live, we can get you guys involved. So, we're going to debate about a topic and you guys can weigh in. And at the end of the show, your comments are going to decide the ultimate winner of Moto Fights. So, this week, or in this episode, to kind of celebrate Nev's presence here in episode number 1 of Hang Time, we're going to try and work out, as the title of this video suggests, who is the best or the most viral 2-stroke motocross rider on the internet on YouTube. Now, Nev, we've been talking about this during the afternoon as we've been prepping for this show. We've knocked about a couple of names who we think are particularly good at their game on YouTube, on the 2-stroke bikes, on 125s or whatever. Who catches your eye at the moment as some of the top dogs in the 2-stroke game?
Well, I think, or for me anyway, for the person I like the most because of their riding style and just their whole vibe, the way they ride a bike, is Darren Durham. His videos are just awesome. Like the CR125 videos that he done, the bike sounded sick, his style's so cool. So that's really cool. And then the Australian kid,
Dylan Long.
Dylan, his stuff is cool. Like,
yeah,
he sends it hard.
He's flat out, yeah.
So his stuff's really cool. And then Jordan Booker's been putting out some cool stuff as well. Like in the UK, it's a lot different to be able to do the stuff in the UK, isn't it, compared to America and Australia. I think it's a lot different.
It's harder to get
riding
out.
Scene, you know. So the stuff I've seen that Booker's been putting out has been really cool as well. But yeah, for sure, for me, it's Darren Durham all day long. You know, like, just the guy's vibe and the way he rides and his style is just textbook. The way he rides at 125 is perfect, you know, like he keeps it singing, even especially on a Honda, you know, like...
Yeah, that classic, is it 1110 mods video?
That's it, yeah, like the way he rides that, it's like a lot harder to ride like an old Honda than say like a KTM or Yamaha of the newer models. So yeah, he definitely keeps everything singing, and yeah, for sure I'm going to go Darren Durham, I reckon.
He's also a good crasher, isn't he?
Oh, that's dirt.
That crash, probably everyone watching probably saw that a couple of weeks ago. loop out and face of the table.
Oh,
That was on a 4-stroke though.
Whiskey throttle on a 450 at its best, Dad.
That's worst case scenario.
Man, I'm glad he walked away from that. Fair play.
Yeah.
Like he had somebody. You think Roxon had someone watching over him?
Yeah,
for sure. He had someone watching over him.
Because he was like up and away, pretty much
upside down. Like he flipped out. Once the bike had flipped, he was doing flips himself.
That's what goes through your head. Like that's just like.
Man, it's so quick though, isn't it? Like literally, it's like.
He was go quick.
Yeah. Ground scar. Black.
Right, yeah, black. Right, so Nev's picking Darren Durham. Now, there's a few riders that we could go through. I think Sean Collier's a great pick.
Yeah, Collier's awesome.
Good 500 rider. Who else we've got? Booker, like you said, he's a good pick. He's got a big viral video around Mildenhall, like you do. So, going from that, I'm going to have to pick you then. Because I'm a little bit biased because I have made most of your two-stroke videos. But even your videos not on our channel, your Instagram's going off at the moment. Your clutch flick video on Instagram. Follow Lev on Instagram. He's trying pretty hard at the moment. I think you've got a case for being one of the biggest two-stroke heroes on the internet for sure. Like,
well, I don't think so, but thank you.
Like just purely views-wise, right?
Yeah, no.
So we did a video back in November. We did like a little reaction video in this studio. Me and Nev sat and watched his biggest video, which is 500cc round Fox Hills, and at that time it had 7 million views. It's a cool video, really good race. James Dunn, Ash Greedy was in there as well, racing the British Two-Stroke Championship back in 2017. Nev raced 30-year-old Honda CR500.
There was an 89 model, wasn't it?
So pretty much a 30-year-old bike in that race, and it went viral. And when we did that reaction, it had 7 million views. It's now got 12 million views, and that's just a couple of months. It's absolutely crazy. Like, people on YouTube absolutely love that video, and I think for that reason alone, like the joy you bring to people's faces, we get comments every day on that video about like old dudes that used to race back in the day, and they're like, oh, this brings me back to racing. And then to people like me who've never raced a 500, that's as close if I'm ever going to get, and I'm ever going to want to get to racing a 500, especially around Fox Hills. I think for that video alone, and then just the other videos that we've done throughout the years.
Yeah, we've definitely done some cool stuff. We've definitely been able to put over the last 3 or 4 years.
We've done some really cool stuff.
Some really cool stuff.
And we've just shot on the weekend, the first time I've been back to the track since lockdown. We just shot a KTM 125 video, so keep an eye out for that. That's coming on the channel soon. That was pretty cool as well.
Yeah, that was cool. Like, I still hands down think riding a 125 is one of the best feelings you can have on a motocross bike. You know, it's just so pure. Like, your inner self, your inner rider really comes out because you can ride a 125 how you see in your head. You know, like when you start getting to the bigger, faster bikes, like sometimes they take you for a ride where a 125 you've got full control, and kind of like what you see in your head is what you can take to the track. You know, there's not many bikes you can actually do that on, especially the later, like the newer 125s. They've got so much power and so much torque, and they're so light. It's literally like riding a BMX, you know, with a lot of power, which is really
especially if you jump from a 500.
Yeah.
Now, we've just had a comment here, I think it was from Bobby. Bobby said, who asked, what was your favourite video we ever filmed and why?
My favourite one, I would say the one that I had the most fun on was probably the Best Stop CR125 video.
Yeah, that was a good day.
So cool, yeah. Like,
that was hectic as well, because you remember that was in the summer, I think like June or something, and they was running evening sessions.
Yeah.
And you'd come from a photo shoot with Princey, with Neil Prince, because you had
I remember that.
just gone on to fill in his MX2 ride.
Yeah.
For the British Championship on the Suzuki team.
Yeah.
So I think you was at Woodford.
Yeah.
Doing a photo shoot in the morning. Then we met you at Bestford in the afternoon, like 1 or 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
You drove straight there.
Yeah.
Did a session, and then something went wrong on your bike.
At the end, I think we got a. Did we get a punch or something?
I think we got a punch. I think something else might have happened to the bike on that day. I can't remember.
I think kind of why I really enjoyed that day was just the sound of that bike. It was probably like the first time I'd ridden it, and that track is really tight with like quite a few big jumps.
Good 125 track, isn't it?
And every single jump was stretching, every single jump, and the sound of the bike and the takeoffs and stuff, and then having to back brake and downslope the downslopes.
Yeah, that first. I think it's the first or second clip in it with the big tabletop, and you're like, boom.
Yeah.
And like, every single time, like there's about 3 different shots pieced into that sequence.
Yeah.
And you do the jump exactly the same every time.
Yeah, it's kind of like, it brings you back to being 13, 14 years old, like, you know, like stretching jumps on a 125. Then I could have rode all day that day, you know, like just everything's so safe, and you're riding on the limit, but everything's safe. you never really kind of get sketched out, and you're always like just trying to find like the best traction and leaning back and getting the best out of the bike. You know, I think that's what I enjoy most about the two strokes, is you can really feel like you're getting the best out of the bike. There's something really satisfying about that, I think. But for sure, I'd say we've had a lot of good days, but I'd say that day sticks in my memory as one of the best. Yeah.
For me, it's got to be the Blue Murder Day at Milton. I just think it's the best content that we've got. Yeah. Probably the best I've ever seen you ride, in the fact that we went there to rail berms, and that's exactly what you did for like 6 straight hours at that track. It was one of those times when we was just like, I think you just picked up that bike. Yeah. He's like, let's go film. I think you said to me, I want to do a berm railing film at Milton Hall. Yeah. I was like, sweet. So literally it was just sometimes our shoots are bigger, there's more of us, more filmers, drone guys, and more stuff going on. But that day it was literally just me and you. Phil turned up to take some stills, and we just filmed literally all day. We didn't stop.
Literally, I remember I think we did 2 or 3 filters on that bike. And it was 20 litres of fuel, I think. Literally rode the whole entire day getting that done. But it was definitely like, you know, going through those turns and stuff. Just Milton Hall was built perfectly for that, you know, where it had the banks and stuff. And on the 2-stroke as well, where you can kind of override the bike a little bit. It worked out pretty sick. That was a good day. And also the weather was nice and the track was good. And I think that makes a big difference in the videos when your gear set up, everything looked cool. Yeah. I think I got severely sunburned that day as well. Yeah. So we'll leave it there then for Moto Fights. The viewers can decide who's the... I've put Nev in a bit of an awkward position here because he can't really vote for himself. He'd be a bit like big-headed if he did that. But who, you guys decide. Is it Darren Durham? Who's got the cooler 2-stroke videos on YouTube? Nev Bradshaw or Darren Durham? Comment below or sideways, wherever it is in the live chat. Let us know, and at the end of the session we'll have a quick look and tot up the votes and see who we reckon, who the internet has decided is the top dog in the 2-stroke game. So like I said, this is HANGTIME Live, first time we're ever doing this. If you're a fan of the show, let us know as well. If you want to support the channel and you want to grab some cool merch, check out our merch store on Teesprings at 999 Laser on Teesprings. That just helps support the channel, helps us go out filming more 2-stroke videos with Nev, helps us go further afield, find cool tracks, things like that. So I think we're going to play a little bit of a teaser for the merch. You can see some of our cool stuff that we've got. 2-stroke related merch for love of 2-strokes. What else we got? Real Men Ride 2-strokes. A lot of 2-stroke related merch. So if you want to check out any of that, the link's in the description below, or you just check us out on Teespring 999 Laser. Now, the third segment of the show is a cool one. It's my favourite segment, I think, that we do. Trophy Talk. Now, what is Trophy Talk? Trophy Talk is the segment where our guest, in this instance Nev, who will be my co-host here on HANGTIME Live, but as it's a COVID lockdown, social distance, we can't get too many people in the studio. So for now, it's just going to be Nev. Nev's brought in a trophy. You can see it there. Show it to the people, Nev. Oh, there goes a Red Bull.
There goes a Red Bull.
Oh, that's a sin. Spilling Red Bull's a sin.
Well, we're not going to get that sponsorship now.
They reckon trophies gather dust, and this one definitely has.
So, what Trophy Talk is, our guests bring in a trophy that has a story or a special meaning to them, and then they tell us a little bit about it, and then we dive deep, ask some questions about that story, and we kind of just get a little bit of background on our guests. So, Nev, tell us about this trophy here, and why is it special to you?
Well, when you said about it today, this is actually the only trophy I have in my house. I don't know where my trophies are. I think there's a few in the garage and a few in the attic, and I actually give most of my trophies to kids. Like when I go off the podium a lot of the time, I just give my trophy to like a kid that's
pretty cool.
You know, so but this is the only one I have in my house, and it's actually my only British Championship win. And weirdly enough, it was exactly 7 years ago today on the day when I got this trophy. So
that's pretty impressive, my timing on that.
Yeah, crazy, isn't it? But yeah, that's the only trophy I had in my house, and yeah, probably one of the best days of my life. My son was born the night before this race, and it was my first and only overall British Championship win. So I had a lot of seconds and a lot of thirds, but this was the only time it all lined up when I got the overall.
So tell us about that weekend then. Tate was born the night before.
Yeah.
Where was the race?
Fox Hills.
Fox Hills, so not too far away.
No, it wasn't too far. So obviously it was quite pandemonium. You know, Tate was born, and then I stayed at the hospital for most of the night before. And then,
so Tate's your firstborn
as
well. So first time you've had a kid, yeah.
first kid, and then I was like nervous about it, you know, thinking I haven't slept, and then I only went to the track in the morning, so it's about...
Hadn't walked the track?
No,
sussed anything out?
It's like an hour 20 to get there, so just got to the track, whatever. But I was quite chilled, you know, like sometimes, like people that race will know, sometimes like when there's no nerves and you just chill, like I was probably kind of more thinking about him and hoping he was okay and looking forward to going back and seeing him than I was actually about racing.
So the pressure's, you've taken the pressure off yourself about the racing because you're thinking about bigger stuff.
Yeah, other stuff. Yeah, at the time I wouldn't say bigger, I was quite like into my racing, you know what I mean? Like it was always in my life, my racing came first, and then this was a new thing, you know, having a kid and first kid, whatever, was a new thing. So, and I remember Dave and Vicky, the people I used to ride for with DB Racing, they were just like, just do whatever you can, you know, like I know you guys, you haven't slept, or, you know, just do what you can. You always do what you can, and they knew always, like I tried my best and I could always pull what I could out the bag, you know, so they just said do your best. And it was just one of those days where it clicked, you know, like I'm quite confident in the Fox Hills, like there was a place I started all the time and I always got good starts from there. I think I qualified about, I didn't qualify that well, I think I qualified about 6th or 7th actually. And I was thinking, this might be a rough day. But I think Ferris was there, Harry Kulas was there was quite a few GP riders there, wildcarding. So I'm thinking, geez, this could be like a rough day. And then whole shot the first moto, led the first moto for like maybe half of it. And then I was battling with Elliot Banks-Brown and Dean Ferris. We were battling the top 3 the whole time.
Ferris would have been on Dixon then?
Dixon Yamaha. Yeah, I think he was actually top 3 in the GPs that year.
Yeah, was that the year he did awesome at the Nations?
That's it, yeah. When they had like a 3-speed gearbox and stuff on those bikes. So, so we went across the line 1, 2, 3 in the first moto, and I thought, you know, fair play. I didn't. No, I got 3rd.
Oh, you got 3rd.
Finished 3rd in that one, but we stayed together till the finish, and I thought.
So who won that then?
Elliot won, and then Ferris got 2nd, and I got 3rd. Then the next moto, I was quite pumped in that, you know, because I felt good in the bike. Like, and my first moto is always my worst moto. Like, my whole career has been like that.
Why do you reckon that is?
I'm not sure. Like, I think because I'm quite fit. Like, it takes me a long time to work into it. My last moto is always my best moto.
Do you think coming from South Africa, tracks might be a bit worse for wear, a bit rougher, and you'd prefer the hotter, drier, like gnarlier conditions?
I can't really, like, the only thing that helps with it is when I warm up. Like, if I warm up or go running or something before my races, it used to help a bit. But yeah, so always when I got my first one out the way, if it's a half decent result, then I know I'm going to get a good overall, because the second and the third ones are always a lot better. Then the second moto, it all changed. There was about 12 or 13 guys in that MX2 class at that time. You could finish 2nd or you could finish 12th, you know, like it was crazy, so close. Like
MX2 always seems to be a bit
especially around Fox Hills, you know, which is quite an easy track. I think Nicholas Orban was there as well as like a wild card. So there's a lot of like people in the mix. So it was quite cool for me, because in the next moto I finished 2nd behind Stephen Clark. Like, we literally went across the line together, and I really wanted to win that moto, you know, because I still haven't won a moto at the British, but you know, we literally crossed the finish line together. But then like Ferris had like a 6th, Elliot had like I think it was like 8th or 9th. So then going into the next one, like I had quite a good gap on.
Is this when they had a free moto for?
Yeah, but in the last moto we raced 450s and 250s together. And I remember Brad Anderson's dad coming and speaking to me, and Brad's dad's straight, you know, like he'll tell you exactly what he thinks all the time. And he came up to me, and I was on the track on my own because obviously Sam wasn't there and I didn't have any family with me, so I was pretty much on my own that day. And he's like, this is your time now, you know, like this is your race to win, and it's your fault if you mess this up. Like, it's right here on the table, it's yours for the taking. And I remember thinking, yep, I'm going to get this done. And got a good start in the last one, like probably about 12th altogether. And I remember I got into 2nd in the MX2 class and just rode it out. You know, I was behind Orban, was on a 4. No, not Orban. Who was? Do
you know Nick Orban finished like 2nd or 3rd in the world one?
Yeah,
in the world one, yeah.
On the Yamaha. Dude, he was so quick.
I didn't realise that. I was looking through some of the stats the other day, and I saw that. I was like, Jesus Christ.
I think it was Richie Racing or something like that.
Richie Racing?
Dude, he was quick. Like, he was number 131. Yeah, he was quick. Style. So yeah, basically went into the last race, had to finish, you know, like I had a decent, like quite a comfortable thing, and yeah, ended up winning it. And there's actually a photo that somebody took, and it's kind of like, you know, Fox Hills, the podium's quite far from where they park the trucks.
Was it like near the start straight?
Yeah, right up at the top, and there's a photo like where I've just got like my body armor on, like my shirt and stuff's off, and I'm just riding. standing up on my bike and someone's taking a photo, and it's just like, the feeling is just like full accomplishment. Like I've never ever had like, as if like a massive weight has been like lifted off of you. And every time I look at that photo, I can just remember that feeling, you know, like I just like straight away think of my mom. Like it's weird how like it takes you to a place like I think, geez, I really want to phone my mom and tell her that I've done this, and all my friends in South Africa will be super stoked on this. And then like my missus is in hospital with a kid.
Yeah,
like,
what was that phone call like?
Yeah, like obviously she'd been watching it on maybe like live time or whatever, you know, so she was pumped. And yeah, just driving home, you just think like, geez, can life get any better than that, you know, which is quite cool.
Yeah, that's cool. So you'd been in England, what, 8, 9 years at that point? So it's a lot.
9 years, yeah.
A lot of blood, sweat and tears literally gone into that trophy, right?
Yeah, literally. And you know, like you see it now, sometimes it's just your day, you know, like it was, that day was just my day. Like I've had like loads of times where I finished second by like 1 or 2 points, and stuff just fell the wrong way a few times, and a few other guys have had it fall the right way, and then that was my time, you know, like I put my time in, I put my work in, and that was my reward for it, you know, which is, you know, like you kind of look back and you think, geez, like maybe I should have won a load more overalls, but then you think back, how many people haven't won a British overall? You know, like, yeah, you know, like you think about even the guys that I grew up with racing under 21s, and guys that got onto factory teams, and, you know, people on big wages, and even GP riders that haven't won a British Championship overall.
Yeah.
You know, like, so you got to, that's one thing I've learned since I've stopped racing is you got to like kind of appreciate it, you know, like at the time you don't appreciate anything, and nothing's ever good enough, and you should have done better, and you need to train harder, and your bike needs to be quicker, and you need to lose some weight, and you never really appreciate that time. But looking back on it now, you know, like I was pretty sick, you know, like it's probably one of the best times of your life, and you'll never really get to relive those days, you know.
So like when you're in it, you just need to take it all in.
Yeah, you know, hindsight's a great thing. Like, you know, like we can't go back and do it again, but you know, like a lot of guys, Coops, a lot of the guys said to me that, like, I didn't understand what they meant, like, enjoy it, you know, like, don't put so much pressure on, enjoy it, and you don't at the time, and it's not until you get to the stage where they are, that they told you that you understand what they said, you know. So.
Yeah, you get wise in your old age.
Oh, yeah. Dude, like, it's just experience, isn't it? Like, it's quite funny looking back on stuff, or seeing kids come through, or, you know, you've been there, you've had those emotions, you felt it. And it's quite cool to see sometimes, you know, like I was very stubborn, like massively stubborn, like anyone that's run teams that I've ridden for would say the same, like just setting my way, stubborn, like hell bent on stuff. You know, and I laugh and I say to myself, my kids are the same, you know, like you can only laugh at it, dude, and you got to learn the hard way when you're like that, and I learned the hard way. So
would you rank that trophy higher than the championships you won, the Red Bull Pro Nationals and things like that? Or is that more of like a season-long accomplishment more than like a one-day thing wrapped into one trophy?
The thing is, the championships always stay with you, you know. But you know, like I was always quite good at like getting that end result. You know, like I said to you before, like I always ride like to a limit. Like I never ride over my limit, so I was always good at like seconds, thirds, and then you get a championship at the end normally. You know, I was always on decent teams on Hondas and stuff, so the bike's always pretty good mechanics. But, you know, like the championships I won, there was a couple of championships where there's, you know, it's always when there's something behind the championship. So when you're racing with someone and there's beef with, say, like an ex-team, or you don't like the rider, or then that feels good, you know. Like I've had 3 or 4 of them where we're like, you've literally won it on the day, on the last moto, and that feeling is like so cool. But I think this one where, like if you look at the start list that day with all the GP riders especially that did wildcarded that day, and with my kid being born and just the emotions of it, you know, like I'd probably rank that pretty much on par with that when I won the championship in 13.
That Cullen.
At Cullen.
Yeah, because that's what I thought he was going to bring in. I thought he was going to bring something from that day.
Yeah.
But this one, it's kind of, seems like it's more lightning in a bottle.
Yeah.
Like Tate being born.
Yeah,
the wild card riders,
like with the Red Bull thing, that was the 3rd Red Bull championship I'd won.
Yeah.
You know, where this is like, this has happened once in my whole entire life. You know, like I'd already won 2 championships before that, but that feeling was like, man, like you can't even put into words, like that Red Bull championship that I won on that last moto, battling with that team. Man, like, and that's another time I went to the hospital, like my brother-in-law crashed, and we went to the hospital afterwards, and that's there's probably about 10 times in my whole life when I've actually sat and felt like I'm happy, like purely, like my life could, my life could not be better.
Yeah.
Like I've probably had that 10 times in my life, and that was probably one of them.
So, I know a lot of people look back at the Red Bull Pro Nationals like nostalgically, and they say like that's the best that British motocross has ever been, and they were great events, because they were. But was the weight of a British Championship win for you better than a win at a Pro Nationals?
Yeah, well, basically the Pro Nationals were the best riders in England, you know, because the GP riders have gone to the GP, so that's the best riders in England at the Pro Nationals, where the British Championship was like you've always got 4 or 5 Grand Prix riders in, you know. So I think the status at that time of the British Championship was more than the Red Bull Pro National Championship.
But maybe the vibe of the weekend at Pro Nationals was
you can't compare the two, you know. Like everyone, you know, it's a game, you don't miss something until it's gone, you know. Like there was such a cool series, the way it was run, the way it was promoted, the way the tracks were. That's how motocross should be, you know, from the kids to the adults, all racing together, families together. The riders made good prize money, the tracks were good, the promoters made money, they had big sponsors like Red Bull.
Always seemed busy. For some reason, every event I went to, the sun was out. Yeah. Like you just kind of had like a golden touch to their events.
Yeah. And it's it's something the sport needs again, It needs the sport does need something like that to revive.
Well, if we get racing again in England.
Yeah. I think it'll happen. I think July will be racing again, but how it's going to be or how things are going to change. Yeah. It's just a time.
I just need to say this. When Nev's talking about his win at Cullen for the Pro Nationals in 2013, basically picture the Zach Osborne Championship win in the 250 East Coast in 16 or 17 when he took 17. When he crashed on the first corner and came back. It's basically like that. That's what he did at Cullen.
No, that was a good day at Cullen. It's quite funny, even though I was so serious about my racing and stuff. That night before, because at the Pro Nationals you used to have a race on a Saturday and 2 races on a Sunday, and I won the race on the Saturday because we both went into the weekend tied on points.
Who was you?
Stephen Lenoir. And so I won the first moto and he finished second, so I had 3 points, and then my teammate James Harris, I don't even think he was my teammate then. I said, let's go get some food, and we went to the food and sat down, and the lady came like, what drinks do you want? And he's thinking water or whatever, so I said, I'll have a pint of Guinness. Like, what? I'm like, yeah dude, like all the work's done, it's not going to matter, you know. So as serious as I was also like, you know, maybe that's the South African in me, like I also, you know, like I knew how to enjoy myself as well, you know, which is the balance I think you need. Yeah,
definitely. We were talking about it earlier, like Jason Anderson seems to be one of those guys that knows how to live a normal life, or not normal life, but live a life and be a motocross racer. And there's some guys that are just motocross racer, and persons down there, they're just like a machine on the track, and then they can't have a normal life at all because they're so focused on the game.
I've got a lot of time for a guy like that can, you know, work hard at it and then also enjoy his life, you know, and he's just a normal person. Once he's got his helmet off, he's just one of the boys, you know, like I think that's a really cool trait to have, you know. Yeah,
I feel that's what you need. You need to have longevity in the sport anyway. Yeah. If you're 100% focused, you might be more successful more quickly, but you might not last more than 5 years.
It's tough, you know. It's just, I guess, it just depends on what your goals are, like how much you ride motorbikes, how much you enjoy the sport, how long you want to stay in the sport. It's just, everyone's wired up differently, and everyone's got a different perception on what they want out of life, you know. So
that's one thing I noticed about you, getting sidetracked from trophy talk, but one thing I noticed about you is like, I know you have your ups and downs, and you go, oh, I can't be able to ride anymore, or I'm over it, but every time I see you on a 2-stroke or on a bike, you're like, oh, I do love riding dirt bikes. Yeah. Like, how many times she said to me you're going to retire since I've known you? It's probably weird to double figures now.
Yeah, no, it is.
But you're always back, and you're always like, oh, I just love riding bikes.
I do love riding bikes. Like I think it's because it's something I've done since I've been 5 years old, you know, like literally every single year all the way through. And it's the only thing that, especially now, like I don't race so much anymore. It's, you know, it's one thing that makes you feel normal, like feel like yourself. You get away from the real world a little bit, and you know, sometimes I get a little bit bummed on the scene. You know, like stuff that's happening around the motocross scene. But as far as
the
riding motorbikes,
bike.
There's nothing that can beat it. Especially like Saturday on a 125, or if I have a good day on my 500, or you know, just a buzz. Or even like still get enjoyment out of doing motos. You know, like when you say, right, I'm going to go do a 30-minute moto, and you bust out of 30 and finish it. There's something cool about that as well. You know, whether it's just because it's something, it's a habit or something that you're used to. I still take a lot of pleasure out of riding.
And I think that comes across in the videos, to be fair. Right, so let's wrap up trophy talk there. We're going to segue into our next segment, which is ragged and rated. Now Phil in the booth has lined it up. Right, so there we go, ragged and rated. This is our testing segment here on HANGTIME. So we've got bikes, we've got products, we've got a whole load of things that we're lucky enough to be able to test and try out. And we've been talking about it so far in the episode, but we went out riding the 2020 KTM 125 that I've had on loan from KTM UK for the last couple of months. Fortunately, because of COVID-19 and the lockdown, we haven't been able to ride. So I think I only went out on it twice, which is a shame because I only went out on it twice, and 125 is my favourite bike to ride. But we did one last film session on it last weekend on Saturday, and never got to ride it all day. So this is going to be our chance to give it a little bit of review. I know it's a bit late in the day for a 2020 bike review, but we don't know when we're going to get 2021 bikes, so we might as well talk about a bike that's out there now.
Yeah, it'll be a couple of weeks, won't it?
Yeah, well, if it was a normal,
anyway.
if it was a normal year, KTM's would be out already.
Yeah,
Isn't that crazy?
Who knows what's going to happen, eh?
Isn't that crazy?
There'll be some cheap 2020s to go in.
That one. So we're going to talk about the KTM 125. Like I said, I'm a 125 rider. I don't need anything more than that really. I'm not fast enough for a 450 or a 252 stroke. They're just too much for me. So my opinion, great bike. Nev, you rode it all day on Saturday, and I mean all day, literally 10 till 3. Nev put almost 3 hours on the bike, like non-stop riding. What's your initial thoughts on the 2020 KTM 125?
Yeah, I quite enjoyed it. Like the power is really good. Like it's got like a lot of meat off the bottom, and you got to keep it singing. Like it does die down a little bit. Like coming out the corners and stuff, you got to like feather the clutch a little bit to like keep it singing. But
a little bit.
Yeah, you got to give it some
You'll see the
credit
video
for sure.
clips.
But you know, like it's a very like broad power. Like it revs on. Like that's what I was really impressed with, how far the bike actually revs on. It just keeps revving to the moon. You know, like normally on 125 you'll get to a point where it'll stop making power, where the KTM seems to rev like really far. So that's quite good. It makes it easy to ride, where you know sometimes people override a 125 and you end up going backwards. There's a lot less chance of that in the KTM because it's got such an over rev. So the engine was pretty cool, and I just can't believe how far they've come from like when I was riding 125s. You know, like it's almost like a different bike altogether. Yeah. The handling of the bike was quite good. It honestly feels like a BMX. Like it's such.
Do you think that's something to do with you riding a 500 non-stop for the...
No, I just think it's the way the bikes are now. Like I think with the air forks and stuff, and where the way that they've moved the engine and stuff, and the dynamics of the bike, I think they just feel super light. Like you could literally just put it anywhere. Like I was going through corners standing up wide open, you know, just like complete comfort and complete safety.
You seem, like you say, so in control the whole day.
Yeah, the whole time, you know, like scrubbing the jumps hard, and just, yeah, a pleasure to ride. It's quite interesting. So we rode that bike, and then I rode my brother-in-law's bike. He's also got a 2020, and he's put a pipe, a head, and an angled piston on it, and the difference that makes is actually unbelievable.
Yeah. His
bike doesn't die down at all. Like, you know, sometimes you've got to use the clutch on the standard bike. Like when you do those mods, it just keeps singing the whole time.
You can hear the difference. There's a difference in note, isn't there?
I think the torque of the bike is a lot more, you know, like the bottom end, and there's a lot more meat all the way through the power band, so you never get that bog at the bottom. And then, you know, like because there's more meat, it just carries the power all the way through. So someone that's, you know, a competitive racer, that's, you know, like if you want a little bit more, it's quite easy with a pipe, a head and a piston, you know. But you know, the bike felt good, you know, it felt quite balanced, but just so much fun, you know. Like the biggest thing for me is like it had a lot of power, and it felt safe to ride, you know. Like it turned good, like stayed to the ruts nicely. Yeah, there's not much negative I could say about it, you know. Like it was a good day.
Do you think, obviously we're talking about the bike from like a fun point of view, they're probably the most fun on two wheels, especially these, like you say, the modern 125s, KTMs, they're designed so well, so light, so easy to move around, so they're really fun to ride. But do you think, like you were saying with your brother-in-law's bike, making those mods makes it quicker and better to ride for you, but do you think a stock 125 is a good enough race bike for 14-year-old, 15-year-old kid coming
yeah,
up?
100%. Like, yeah, unless you know, like maybe within, you know, like 8-9% of the population of motocross riders in the UK, their bike's more than enough, you know. Like the power, like it just, you know, just makes it like a little bit easier to ride with those mods, but for sure you could line up with a stock standard bike and have a chance of winning any 125 championship on that, you know. Like, it's actually quite mind-blowing, you know, like a bike out the box can be that quick.
Compare that, the KTM 125 to the KX 125 that you rode last year. Try and explain the difference, how far 125s have come from that KX to where we are now.
I don't even think it's almost like a different bike, you know. Like that KX 125 is probably more comparable now to an 85. Like literally the power that an 85 makes will be more than what their 125 was making. Saying that, like, you know, like when you're riding like a Suzuki 125 or a KX 125 back in 96, 97, think about how hard you have to ride those bikes to go fast. You know, so I think it really teaches you how to ride a bike, you know, keep your momentum, keep the bike singing, you know, like ride through ruts and takeoffs, covering the clutch so when it bogs it doesn't throw you over the bars, and, you know,
there's a reason Larocco's Leap was such a big thing, wasn't it?
And all the Supercross triples, you know, like there wasn't many 125 riders jumping the triples, and you can see why. It's all about momentum, you know, like carrying corner speed, and, you know, like in the bike's revving out. That's the biggest thing now. So like you seat bounce a jump now on a KTM 125, and the bike's going to have power all the way up to takeoff, and it's going to shoot you over the jump. Where those other bikes, they rev out in the gear, and because the 125 is such a small engine, like it wouldn't give you the length that you need.
They just go boom.
Up. You just like when it hits the, and then you're always too scared to shift in the takeoff. You know, like that's risky. You know, like you kind of had to, like, it would have been like second and then third up the takeoff. Where now you just keep the same gear and it gets you over. You know, I think that's the biggest difference, is how much broader and longer the power is on these new bikes.
You can see that even in the videos that we've done. The KX, the Green Meanies video we did last year, you're hanging off the back of it, going through the rollers, you're hanging off the back, you're just stretching the cable, trying to get over the jumps as much as you can. And then on Saturday, your position seemed way more upright, way more relaxed. You
just ride through stuff a lot quicker on that bike, you know, like, it's almost, you know, it's like riding, almost like riding a 450. There's nothing, I found it more fun, you know, like I watched Nathan going around there on the weekend, and he was going
Nathan Watson was there,
He was there, and he was going super fast on a 450.
He was carrying so much speed, wasn't he?
But did you see everything he was hitting? He's like scrubbing. So even though there's some decent sized jumps at DMP, he's going so fast that he's like scrubbing everything. It's actually quite nice to jump on a 125 and have to stretch stuff.
There's that one tabletop where we were sat watching, he was like, you watch him go around, we watch him scrub it, and you're like, I've got to stretch that jump on the 125. Well, I've got to actually.
And I think that's quite cool, you know, like I think it's a nice
makes you feel
feeling.
like you're riding.
It's a nice feeling about like, and then back brake it and down slope it, or, you know, like when you're hitting everything so fast on 450s and you're just scrubbing everything and carrying so much momentum, you've got to, like, your brain has to be thinking so fast for that, if that makes sense. You know, you're going so much faster, you've got so much more momentum, so you're scrubbing this jump and you're carrying so much momentum, you really need to be thinking about whatever's coming up next, and then what's next and what's next. You're not actually like riding in your time, if that makes sense. Where 125 you can ride exactly where you are, you know, like, and it's just, that's one thing I noticed when he was going so fast around the track, everything he was hitting, he was scrubbing really good, you know, where it was quite nice.
He's carrying so much speed up the face of the jumps, it's easier to flick it.
It's almost like the bikes are so fast now for the tracks.
For a track like that, it's a really good track, but it's designed for normal people, normal hobby riders. Like
the modern bikes are so quick, like, you know, like nothing's like a stress now, you know, like back in those days when, you know, like if, I remember like, you know, 125s and this dude's jumping this triple, and like, no ways, and then you go jump it, you know, like now, second lap of practice, everyone jumps everything. You know, like, there's no kind of like, the 250F is just, the power's right there, you can get over everything, where the 125 is about getting the momentum right around the turns, and then getting your gear change good, and then just hoping when you hit the base that you're not going to have to like shift the gear on the takeoff, and just it's almost like a different sport, dude. It's a completely different way of riding.
So what we're saying is basically, we take bikes for granted now. We're very lucky. They're all really good. Especially these KTMs are great. The 125s that come so far. You're saying that back in the day, they're basically kids' bikes compared to what we got now.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, if you think back to when like Grant Langston and those guys were riding KTM 125s, how much advanced they were on anything else.
Yeah.
And you think, what are we, 20 years down the line now? And that's the only manufacturer that's kept on developing. You know, so that's just what happens after years of development, isn't it? You get an end product that's where it is now. Yeah.
We're in the future now, aren't we?
We are.
Right, so that's ragged and rated for this week. We're coming towards the end of the first ever Hang Time Live. It's been a good old time, isn't it, Ned?
Yeah, always nice to talk motorbikes.
I'm just going to take a look at the chat at the moment, see what's gone in there. Bobby Evans said, "What's your favourite video?" We talked about that. I still would say Blue Murder's the one. Someone else said we're going to go to Erne for the MXGP, or is that Nations? Is it Nations? Do you reckon that's going to happen? Yeah, for sure that's going to happen. Are you going? I'd like to go. I've never been to a Nations outside of the UK. You've never been? No, I went to Donington in 2008. Yeah. But only on a Saturday. Yeah. Dad was too cheap to take us on a Sunday. And I went to Matley in 17. Oh, no way. My first ever Nations was Ernie in 05. That you raced? Yeah. First one I went to go watch was at the sand track in 04. Lirop, is it Lirop? Lirop, yeah. And then I raced in 05. That was unbelievable, man. That's mental. French, like... Yeah, the French... Zerne's got just a big wall. And you literally, like, people just, like, and you can see the whole track from around it. It's, man, like, if you get the chance, you really got to go. Because what year was it? Was it 16 they had it in Erne last? 16, yeah. And I just remember the videos from that. It was absolutely mental. Yeah, it's cool. Good track. That's crazy that you went to watch the Nations once and the next year you was in it. Yeah, it was a quick kind of tournament. I almost rode for Ireland at the 04 one. Where I went to go watch. Your parents are actually Irish. My mum and my dad are Irish. I almost did that one, and then when that didn't happen, then I got the chance. Yeah, the chance the next year to go check it out. But you think I came from South Africa, so like you never saw anything in South Africa. Yeah. And then literally did 1 year here, then the second year I got the chance to do that. So. Who were your teammates that year in 04? Did you have? When I did it in the 05, was it 05? 05. Rattray? Tyler and Gareth. Me, Tyler and Gareth did it about 3 or 4 times together. How many times have you done it? I think about 8. 8 times. The last time you did it was Matley. 17, yeah, Medley. I remember speaking to you because you was in the B final on the Sunday morning, and it was deep. It was horrid. That was hectic. Did you get through? No, I think I finished 4th in that race, but I was in 2nd, and then I crashed, didn't I? It was quite, that was, for the boys coming from South Africa, they'd never seen mud like that. I'd never seen mud like that. It's a miracle that race happened. That was so hard, just to put in a qualifying lap on the Saturday, because it was so muddy, but everything's cambered. Yeah. So you think you have to stand up around every single cambered turn with like loads of ruts in it, and it was just... I remember getting to the end of every qualifying lap and thinking, I'm going to have to take like at least a lap to kind of let my arms come back and then go again. That was a hectic weekend, wasn't it? That it happened. Yeah. But then, for me, obviously, Team GB supporter, I was filming it. I was invited to go and film it, which was crazy. Yeah. They Ustream asked us to go and film it for our channel. Yeah. Which was mental. I was like, yeah, for sure. So we was filming it all. I was trying not to kill my cameras in the rain, and then I was stood by the finish when Nancy crosses the line in the second moto. And honestly, do you know you said about your 10 happy moments in your life? Yeah, that was one of mine. That was insane. That was one of mine. And then down onto the podium, they had like a big fence, like a big metal fence where the crowd could stand behind, and then the press were in front of it. So I was in front of this metal fence. Yeah. And the French had just won it for the 4th time running or whatever it was. And they'd stormed the track. All the Frenchies were up against the fence, and there's a clip in the intro of this of like some French team. And honestly, I've never had a buzz like it. I was like a rock star, and I wasn't even on the podium. I was like, yes. Crazy, like the emotion sport can bring to, isn't it? It's mental. And you weren't even racing. I was so pumped. You can hear in like my raw footage, I'm filming Anthony go across the line and I'm just going, yes!
Yeah.
Yes!
Sick, isn't it?
It's so cool.
You can see why people miss it, you know, during times like this when we take it for granted. You can see, you know, like even when you get time to watch like that Michael Jordan documentary, like it's a special thing, sport, eh? It's definitely a special thing.
There's a question here from Jack Duggins. What's Nev's favourite UK track?
To race on, probably Canada Hearts has always been my favourite track.
You've always had good days.
Yeah, Canada Hearts. I think, you know, from the first time, from 2004 pretty much onwards, I always knew if I was having either a good or a bad season, I was always going to get my arse saved there. You know, just I think the way that the ground is, and it used to be super technical, the jumps as well, and it always just worked out. I remember when I was riding from Moto Vision, we went to the first round at Ling. And my goggles.
What year was that? Early on Moto Vision?
05,
yeah.
06, 05, 06. And I lost my goggles in both motos, and I finished 14th and 14th, and they were not happy. Like, I think it was my first year getting paid to race and stuff. And I was like, geez, this is not good. Then literally, it was a weekend off, and then to Canada Hearts, and I finished 4th in the MX1 class, and I was like, cheers in.
Save your ass.
Save my ass in a big way, dude. So, now Canada Hearts, and just the people around that area, I really like the people. I've
been there filming with you before, and you kind of seem to know everyone at the track. And
I think because I enjoy the track so much, and I do the centre races, and used to live down that way when I lived in Gatwick, so I'd say that track for racing on, definitely Canada Hearts, and then practicing, Ellsworth was my favourite track for practicing.
That me and you both. Ellsworth, you could hear when I lived in the village next to Ellsworth, and you could hear it from my back garden. So I was literally born and raised at that track. Did my first ever laps around there.
Yeah.
Like a pee-wee around the kids' track, and
kind
of came up through the ranks. Remember, it was always we go down to Ellsworth and try and do a new jump.
Okay, right.
So we were on 65. I was like, we're going to do a sandpit this day. We're going to do the sandpit today. We'll do the double round here next time. And it was so fun. Just it was one of those tracks where you just link everything up. Like progressing when you're a kid
as well, yeah.
And it's some of my best memories from riding come from Ellsworth.
Yeah.
Said like the paddock was nice, people were nice.
Andy was awesome.
Good group of guys used to go riding there, and then when the track was super tacky, nothing beats it. Nothing beats it.
And it was always like, you know, 9 times out of 10 you're going to get a good day there, because Andy never really opened up when it wasn't.
No, it was in a good way really precious about his track when he. But we was talking about it earlier. Saw the posts on Facebook a couple of weeks ago. Ellsworth has been shut since 13 or 14?
13, yeah.
And it's always, everyone's known it's just been sat there empty. Like, they always threatened about turning it into fishing lakes, but people have been down there taking drones up, and you can see the track there just overgrown. But in the last year or so, they finally got the diggers in there, and now it's gone. It's a fishing lake.
Good time now, you can go fishing.
Yeah, you can go fishing now, you can't go riding, so maybe they're onto something.
Take it up, dude.
But that actually made me sad when I saw that.
Can you sell fish?
Am I what?
Can you sell fish?
Can I sell fish?
Can you make money from selling fish?
Maybe about...
I might take it up.
Yeah. You could probably earn as much as you can from motocross racing.
Yeah, exactly. Make more. If I can sell one fish, I'll make more.
There's another question from Mark Cortis. I don't know if you'll like this one. He said, ask Nev, what's it going to take to beat Brownie at the vets?
Don't know. He'd be 4 for 4, so I beat him 4 times and he's beat me 4 times. So whoever wins the first motor next time.
Yeah, call it quits.
Don't know, man. Like, I don't actually know. He was on fire this year. Like, when I came in from the qualifying, my missus was like, you won't believe how fast Mark Brownie's going. I'm like, whatever, you know.
Yeah, I'm on my 500. This is a sweet bike from JP. This is the best 500 I've ever ridden. I'm feeling on it. Yeah,
I was kind of thinking like the Darko was going to be the man. Like the Darko or Ramon or someone like that would be hard to beat. But man, he was on fire. You know, I think
Brownie's. Do you know what we should say about Michael Jordan?
Yeah.
Mike Brown's still at that stage. I think he just takes racing that seriously. Still,
yeah, he does. Yeah, like when he passed me, you saw on the GoPros.
Yeah, it was literally
the first time he passed me, he took me right off the track and looked back and brake checked me. Then the second time he passed me, he came from the outside all the way to the inside on the left hand, and I was like, crack, I'm not even at that stage, you know, like I'll race hard, but I'm not gonna fair play to him. But No, I think we'll have a good race this year. I think JP's going to build me a CR250, so we're both going to be on 250s.
Yeah, because you said to me last year you reckon he was at slight advantage on the 250.
I think,
which you wouldn't think, but
no, like I think even he said it afterwards, didn't he? He said, you know, he can, the way you can throw 250. And
yeah, because that track gets gnarly.
He's always been a better, I think anyway, he's been a better small bike rider than a big bike rider.
125 hero, isn't he?
I don't know, but you'll have loads of guys, you know, like it won't just be me and Brownie. There'll be, you know, that events getting faster and faster guys every year. So
well, you think you're getting older and older, and there's more people that turn 35 now,
turning 35, yeah. But no, there'll be some good racing. Like what I think would be really cool is if me and Brownie could race at 125 together. So if they could have, so you get 3 riders per, or say 4 riders per country, one on a 125, one on a 250, and one has to ride a 500. So do it that way, like the traditional old.
Because at the moment it's 3 riders from any country, from your country, that they can ride anything.
Any bike, yeah. So they would be like, especially with now that the rules have gone to like 96, like you get guys in like mid 90s, 125, they're good bikes. Same as like the 500s now, like if you, like I find a big difference even when you go from the 89 500 to like the bike I've got myself now, or the bike JP built for me, like there's a big difference between like a mid 90s bike and a late 80s bike. You know, and I think that's why the pace has got so far there, so. It's on, dude. Me and Brownie are going to go hard again if it happens. If it happens.
You heard it here first. If it happens, Nev is going to beat Mike Brown at
I'm not saying that. I didn't say I'm going to beat him, but I said we're going to have a go at it. So,
well, let us know in the comments who you reckon who's going to get the win next time. So let's wrap it up there then. Thanks for all your questions. Thanks, Nev, for coming over for the first ever Hang Time. Like I said, we're going to pick the best comment, the coolest comment, or the best question once we're off the air, and we're going to pick that guy, that person, whoever it is, and you're going to win a nice piece of merch. We'll get in touch with you, so don't worry about that, and we'll send you some cool merch. So that's it for Hang Time. Let us know what else you want to see in the show in the future, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and all of that. I'm Max, that's Nev. This has been Hang Time Live, and to give you a nice little treat to end off the first ever Hang Time. If I haven't done quite a good enough job of convincing you that Nev is the best two-stroke rider in all of the YouTube's, I put together a nice compilation of all of Nev's best bits. So Phil in the booth, if you can play that now, that takes us out for the first ever Hang Time Live. Thanks for watching.
When I fell in love with motocross, it was riding 2 strokes, you know. I think that's the reason, and also the feeling I get when I ride him is good, you know. Like I really enjoy riding the 2-stroke. I feel safe on the 2-stroke, and there's a buzz about it, you know. And I think a lot of people, it's popular because a lot of people grew up riding 2 strokes, and it brings them back to the era, same as me. When you fell in love with motocross, it was normally riding a 2-stroke. So yeah, I think it's just a cool thing, you know, and it seems like it is kind of coming back again now. So yeah, just keep pumping it. Obviously, like I said before, like I enjoy all aspects of riding. You know, you got to I guess move with the times a little bit, and obviously 4-strokes where it is now. But I'm a 2-stroke man at heart. You know, that's where I enjoy my riding the most, is when I'm making a 2-stroke thing.